He eased the front door closed behind him, the soft click of the lock echoing in the empty foyer. His polished loafers made almost no sound as he crossed the marble floor, but then he froze. A piercing scream tore through the house, vibrating the air, wrenching him out of his suit and into pure alarm. Without a second thought, he sprinted down the hallway toward his daughter's room, heart pounding so hard it felt like it might burst through his rib cage. He flung open the door and halted in the doorway, eyes widening at the chaos before him. His 9-year-old daughter, Lily, was tangled in her curtains, hands grasping at the fabric as if it were a lifeline, tears streaming down her cheeks. Her teddy bear lay discarded on the carpet, and pale sunlight slanted through the window, illuminating dust motes that danced like tiny specters. "Daddy," she wailed, voice cracking. Sheet twisted, curtains wrapping tight around her legs, pulling her closer to the sill. Panic surged through him. He dropped to his knees, one arm reaching to soothe her, the other clawing at the folds of fabric. "It's okay, sweetheart. It's okay. I've got you." He spoke softly as he carefully loosened the knot the floor-length drapes had tied around her. Each tug was slow and deliberate, but Lily flailed, desperate to free herself, the fabric threatened to rip from the rod above. And in that instant he realized how precarious she'd become one wrong move, and she could have fallen headfirst through the glass, just a little more. He murmured, voice husky. Finally the knot gave way and Lily collapsed into his arms. He cradled her against his chest, stroking her hair as she sobbed into his navy tie. She trembled, panic morphing into relief as she realized he was there. "I'm right here," he whispered. "I've got you." When her breathing steadied, he carefully stood and carried her to the plush armchair by the window. He sank down, Lily curled against him. He felt the damp warmth of her tears seeping through his shirt. His mind refused to process how she'd ended up tangled in the curtains. She was so careful, so cautious always, and yet there she was, crying in fear over something that should have been impossible. After a moment, Lily wiped her face with the back of her hand and pressed her lips against his shirt. "I just wanted to see the bird," she said in a small, quivering voice, "the one outside the window." He frowned and looked up at the half-drawn curtains. He'd installed bird feeders outside her window to cheer her up after her mother's death last year. Lily loved watching the cardinals and blue jays from that very spot. "You tried to climb the window ledge?" he asked gently. She nodded, eyes cast downward. "I thought I could feel the breeze better, Daddy." He took a deep breath. Rage, relief, guilt, every emotion roared through him like a storm. He rocked her slowly. "Sweetheart, you could have hurt yourself so badly." He kissed the top of her head. "Promise me you'll never climb up there again." "I promise," she whispered. He held her for a long moment, altar-like silence filling the room. Then he set her down, pressing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Let's get you some ice cream," he suggested. "Chocolate chip, your favorite." Her sobs eased as she managed a small smile. "Yes, please." He scooped her up and carried her out of the room. In the kitchen he opened the freezer, fetched a tub of ice cream and 2 bowls. Lily perched on the counter with her legs swinging, watching him. Once he handed her a bowl and spoon, she dove in immediately, as though tasting safety itself. He took a bite of his own, but the sweetness was drowned by a lingering bitterness he should never have left her unattended. As she ate, he thought back to that morning. He'd been buried in spreadsheets and boardroom calls, fighting for funding for a crucial merger. He'd checked in with the nanny twice, confirming Lily was fine. But this moment exposed the flaw in his arrogance no delegate could replace. Him, after she finished, he sat beside her on the counter, holding her shoulders. "I'm sorry I wasn't here," he said quietly. "I should have left work earlier." She shook her head, cheesecake crumb smile playing at her lips. "It's okay, Daddy, you came." Then she hopped off the counter and scampered to the living room, carrying her empty bowl. He followed, and she hugged his leg. He knelt to meet her eyes. "I love you, baby girl, more than anything." She looked up at him with those wide, trusting eyes. "I love you too." That afternoon, he canceled the rest of his meetings. He sent an email to the board explaining he needed to attend to a family emergency. He couldn't bear the thought of any call being more important than Lily's safety. Then he took her to the backyard, where they sat on the grass together. She pointed out a cardinal perched on the feeder. They watched in silence until Lily leaned on his shoulder and drifted off to sleep under the sun. When she woke, he carried her inside and tucked her into bed. He sat by her bedside, reading her a story Frank Baum's Land of Oz, her favorite. He read in a soft, soothing voice, using different tones for each character until her eyelids fluttered. As she slipped back into sleep, he left the book open on her chest and tiptoed out of the room. As he closed her door, he caught a glimpse of the curtain rod still slightly askew, a silent reminder of the morning's terror. He straightened it in the days that followed. He adjusted his schedule. He spent evenings helping Lily with homework, watching cartoons, playing board games, tucking her in himself. He learned more about her little world, the way her mind worked, the stories she made up, the dreams she whispered in her sleep. He discovered that being a father meant far more than providing luxuries. It meant presence, attention, love. One evening, Lily hugged him tightly and whispered, "Thank you for being here, Daddy." His throat tightened. He kissed her forehead. "I'll always be here, sweetheart." And in that moment he understood that the greatest fortune he could ever have was right here in this room, sleeping peacefully while he stood guard at her door.